Hi there, it's Charles Kelly, Money Tips. Thought I'd just jump on quickly and give you a quick weekly update of what's going on in the world of finance and money. This week in the UK, you may have heard that the energy companies have made record multi-billion pound profits, as has oil companies like BP, due to the rise in prices. I've always wondered why this is, because if you're buying something for X and you're selling it for Y at a profit, at a margin, why should it be any difference if the wholesale of price of that product goes up or down? It just means the customer's paying a bit more, but they seem to have made record profits out of it, whilst we're still paying over the top for our energy. Even though the wholesale energy prices have come down, they're still overcharging, and I think that is scandalous. I'm not some sort of communist that believes that companies shouldn't make a profit, but I think this is really unfair to people. Talking about energy companies, I've got a HMO property, and I called up my energy company, EDF. I say I called them up. It took me like 15 minutes to get hold of their telephone number, because they don't publish it on their post. They don't publish it anywhere. They just want you to go on their website and talk on chat lines. And anyway, I found the number, then it was disconnected. I found another one, it was disconnected. I've never known a company change their numbers so often. Anyway, I got through to them in the end, got through to a call centre in the Philippines and said, look, why are you charging me XYZ for my gas and electricity when wholesale prices have come down? And I asked the question about 3 or 4 times, didn't get an answer. In the end, I said, look, you're charging me now £550 a month. You used to charge me £120 a month on the direct debit payment. I want this reduced because it's affecting my cash flow in the property. And he said, well, okay, we can reduce it by 20%. Well, there you go. Immediately he said he could knock off 20% of my monthly payments. Now, I know this is adding to the debit situation. I have to pay it eventually, but it's interest-free borrowing, isn't it? So he was immediately prepared to knock off £100. In the end, after a couple of, I just asked him, can you make it £250? And he said, all right then. And he checked with his supervisor, and for next month I'm paying £250 a month out of my property business account rather than £500 a month. Those are the rough figures. But it saves me on cash flow. It means I can spend on other things in the property, and then I'll worry about the debit and the debt building up for the gas and electricity later. They're not charging me interest, you get it? It's interest-free borrowing. So you can do the same thing on your household or any property bills you've got, just by phoning up and asking. It was just so simple. The only trouble was getting through to them. In fact, when I got the number, I got through reasonably quickly, actually. So that's just a little tip for you. The other thing that's been in the news recently is central bank digital currencies. Well, it's been all over the news, hasn't it? But the UK has published a consultation on this. You can find it on the uk.gov website. Just Google UK Bank of England or Home Office consultation on central bank digital currencies. And it's like an 80-page document telling us what they think about it, how it might affect people. Of course, it looks like it's coming eventually. They're trying to phase out cash. The banks have closed down thousands of bank branches, and I think they'll close down thousands more. So it's coming. But what a lot of people are worried about is how this will affect them, because whenever they do these currency changes, I remember going back a few years now, in the 70s, when they changed our currency from the old imperial system to decimalisation. And I remember my parents saying everything's gone up in price. They've screwed us. They've rounded it up in their favour. So everything was rounded up to suit the decimalisation against the consumer. Similar thing when we joined the common market, which became eventually the European Union. Everything went up. I've talked to people in Spain and Italy when the euro was introduced, and they all got screwed as well. The price of everything went up. I remember Spain being a really cheap country to go to when it was pesetas, and everyone seemed to be okay. When the euro came in, everything went up in price. So it just worries me that when they bring in this new currency, or they change the currency, that somehow the consumer is going to get screwed, because it has to be paid for somehow, and the taxpayer is going to pay it, the consumer is going to pay for it somehow. The government haven't got their own money, and it's going to cost billions, I think. So it is a worry. Obviously there's darker forces out there saying we're all going to go, they're going to steal our money and that sort of thing. I don't know about that. And then there's the gold buffs who say put all your money in gold and silver and hide it and that sort of thing. Get a cabin in the woods, get 10 years supply of food and get guns and that sort of thing. But I'm not worried to that extent. But the central bank digital currencies, it's already more or less there in China. America's talking about it. It's like the whole world is working together in these G7 meetings to do the same thing. I've never known countries to be in such synchronization before, but it definitely seems to be happening. And of course we've still got inflation, 10%. It's come down a bit. It's coming down in America a bit faster, but they're still putting up interest rates only just recently. And that means that prices are going up by 10% every year, everything you buy. And even if inflation comes down to say 5%, it doesn't mean prices have come down. It just means prices are only going up by 5% instead of 10%. So there's not much difference there, really, is there? And it doesn't affect the fact that you've paid more this year is not going to come down next year if inflation comes down. The rate of growth will just slow. Unless we go to minus negative inflation or deflation, then prices come down. So it does look a bit gloomy at the moment. People are still paying a lot for their bills. They're still mortgages are going up. Although there are banks introducing slightly cheaper mortgages now, where you've got bigger deposits. But generally, rates are going up for borrowing, like credit cards, business borrowing, and that sort of thing. And we're seeing a lot of businesses, small businesses, go out of business, just close up. So we can't manage anymore. Sorry, I'm closing down. I'll go and get a job. I mean, some small business owners would be better off just having a manual job driving a bus than they would be running their business and working 80 hours a week for very little profit. So we're seeing a lot of that, and things are tough out there. So I think the key to all this is money management. You notice that some people do well in any situation, whether it's recession, up, downturn, sideways, they always seem to do well, and that's because they know how to manage their finances and build their wealth. And next Wednesday evening, 8 p.m, I'm running a training webinar, which I'll show you my 3 steps to money management. The first being getting control of your finances, really getting control so you know exactly what's happening. And then moving on to managing your money, changing your mindset, and building wealth over time. Not a get-rich-quick scheme, building wealth over time so that you can eventually quit the rat race or retire comfortably, or just work part-time doing the things you want to do when you want to do them. So I'll be going through that, a detailed training next Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. So I'll put a description up here. So please join me there, and I'll see you there. And if I don't see you there, check out, keep liking and subscribing on my Money Tips podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. But do check out that training. It could change your life. Okay, bye for now.